My hands didn't shake when I turned the key. I had a plan. A precise one. No drama, no raised voices, no threats. Just truth, cold and sharp like the wind off that cursed lake. And when the door creaked open, what I saw inside confirmed everything I'd pieced together in the last 2 months. Let me rewind, not too far. Just enough. 3 days ago, my wife, Maddie, as her family lovingly called her, told me she had a business trip upstate. You wouldn't enjoy it, babe, she said, tossing lingerie into a suitcase like it was a beach towel. Boring investors, late dinners, hotel rooms with terrible coffee. I'll be home Monday night. I said nothing. Just kissed her goodbye like a good husband does. But I already knew where she was going. Not a hotel. Not a boardroom. A lake house, my lake house, that she had secretly rented with my card. For him. Her lover. His name was Blake. A personal trainer, of course. Shredded. Fake deep. The kind of guy who posts shirtless photos captioned with Nietzsche quotes. I'd seen his name pop up on her phone at 2 a.m. weeks ago, saved as Taylor Dog Rescue. Subtle. Real subtle. But I wasn't prepared for what I found tonight. I didn't just find her and Blake tangled up by the fireplace. I didn't just find scented candles and wine and that pink silk robe I bought her for our anniversary now draped across the back of a couch that I paid for. Her whole family was there. Her mother, Ellen, sipping Chardonnay with a smug smile that told me she knew everything and thought it was cute. Her sister, Kayla, giggling with a man I'd never seen, lounging on my deck like it was theirs. Even her father, Harold, who used to shake my hand every Thanksgiving and call me son, looked me in the eye, raised his glass, and said, "Didn't think you'd come up here, David." I didn't respond. Instead, I walked inside like I owned the place, because I did. Silence dropped like a guillotine. Even Blake, in his boxers, froze. Madison had a throw blanket wrapped around her, legs bare, face drained of color. "Babe, I can explain," she started. But I wasn't interested. I said 5 words. Calm, slow, like a judge delivering a sentence. "This is the last roof you'll ever have." Then I dropped the envelope on the table. Inside? Copies of the rental agreement, the credit card charges, photos from a private investigator. Even a notarized document revoking her access to all joint accounts, effective that morning. She never saw it coming. Her face twitched, then tightened like stone. "You can't do this," Ellen said, rising like some kind of suburban queen. "This isn't your house." I smiled. "No, it's my 3rd house. I paid for this place in cash before any of you even knew Blake existed." That's when the chaos started. Madison lunged forward, grabbing my arm, hissing, "You're being ridiculous. We were going to talk after I got back." "I didn't want to hurt you." "Hurt me," I said. "You used my money to buy lavender candles and imported wine so your boy toy could break in a new mattress while your family toasted to my stupidity." Kayla started to laugh. "Real nasty. Guess he figured it out, Mats." Ellen hissed at her to shut up. Blake tried to speak, but I raised a hand. "I'm not here for you," I told him. "You're irrelevant." Then I dropped the last blow. "I spoke with the realtor this morning. The lease on this place? Canceled. Effective midnight. The sheriff's office will enforce it by dawn. You all have 5 hours to get out." "You bastard," Ellen spat. "No. A bastard wouldn't have waited this long," I said. "A bastard would have torched the place." I turned and walked out. Did I feel vindicated? Not exactly. I felt clarity, like ice water through the veins. This was just the beginning. Because betrayal? Betrayal deserves precision. And I had much more planned. It didn't start with lipstick on a collar or a suspicious text. It started with math. Maddie's lies weren't fragrant. They were flawed. Sloppy. She always said she hated numbers, and maybe that's why she thought I wouldn't notice when the expenses stopped matching her story. 3 months ago, she got promoted. Marketing director, she bragged, pouring herself a second glass of Merlot. "It's gonna be a lot of long hours, babe. Business dinners. Weekends, too." She even bought herself a new wardrobe for her meetings. Suits that were just a little too tight. Heels that didn't match any office I'd ever seen. At first, I didn't question it. I trusted her. We'd been married 6 years, and sure, the spark had dimmed, but I figured that's just what happens after time. You trade fire for warmth. I was okay with that. I thought we were solid. But then the credit card bills started growing teeth. A $600 charge at Lumiere Spa and Wellness. She said it was a team retreat. A $350 dinner at a steakhouse we'd never visited together. Uber rides at midnight from neighborhoods far from her office. And the final red flag, a charge from a luxury property rental agency near Lake Hemsworth. That's when the alarm bells stopped ringing and started screaming. I asked her about it one night while we were brushing our teeth. "Hey," I said casually, "what's this charge at Pine Ridge Homes? Looks like a deposit for something near Hemsworth Lake." She didn't even flinch. "Oh, yeah, that's for a client event next quarter. It's refundable." It wasn't. I checked. The next morning, I called the agency and pretended to be her assistant. The woman on the phone, cheerful and unaware, confirmed that Madison James had rented the property for a private getaway with her partner from Friday night to Monday morning. I asked for a copy of the contract. She emailed it to me within minutes. Seeing her signature on the bottom of that lease was like a punch in the gut. Not just because she signed it, but because under additional guests, she'd listed 3 other names: Ellen James, Kayla James, and Blake Carter. That was the first time I saw his full name. I copied it, pasted it into every search engine I could find. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. And there he was, Blake Carter. Abs for days. Trainer to high-end female clients. The kind of guy who charged $1,000 for a meal plan and a wink. I stared at his photo for a while. Then I hired a private investigator. Tony was fast. Too fast. Within 72 hours, I had photos. Her in gym clothes, laughing too hard. Him with his hand on her lower back. A dinner date at a rooftop lounge where she wore the earrings I bought her for Valentine's Day. The same earrings she told me she'd lost. They weren't lost. They were dangling beside another man's neck as she whispered into his ear. You know what the worst part was? She looked happy. Happier than I'd seen her in years. And me? I was just the ATM. The soft place she landed at night before sneaking off to live her real life. But I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed more. Not for revenge, not yet, anyway, but for clarity. I wanted to understand how deep this went. How many lies she'd told. How long she'd been feeding me this life like it was still ours. I started playing along. How's work? Babe, need me to drop you at the gym? Want me to grab sushi for dinner? All smiles. All lies. It was like living with a stranger who wore my wife's face. And she was good. She kissed me goodnight. Said, "I love you" on autopilot. Even left cute notes in my briefcase, like she was still invested. Maybe part of her was. Or maybe she just wanted to keep the benefits going until her trainer boy could afford his own lake house. Too bad for her. I already had the endgame in motion. Because when someone tries to ruin you with lies, there's only one way to win. Let them keep talking. While you quietly gather the truth. I waited until the Wednesday after the lake house. She came home late, again. The smell of citrus and musk hit me before she even dropped her bag. That wasn't her perfume. It was his. The scent was clinging to her skin like a brand. Madison strutted in like she'd just closed a $1 billion deal. Tight beige skirt, hair too perfect for a Wednesday, lips glossed and swollen. I was sitting in the living room, lights low, the TV off. She paused when she saw me. A flicker of surprise. Guilt? No, irritation. "Hey, babe," she said, peeling off her blazer. "Didn't know you'd be home early." "I wasn't," I said. "I came home on time." "You're 3 hours late." She blinked. "Client dinner ran long." "Which client?" She hesitated, a split-second delay that told me everything. "You wouldn't know them," she said with a shrug, like I was an annoying child asking too many questions. I nodded. Calm. Too calm. The folder on my lap felt like a loaded weapon. "You look tired," she said, stepping behind me, her fingers brushing the back of my neck. "Rough day." I tilted my head up, locking eyes with her. "You could say that." "Been thinking about lake houses." She froze. I heard her breathing change. Her hands retracted like I'd burned her. "What?" "Lake Hemsworth," I continued. "Pine Ridge Homes. You remember? You told me it was for a client event." She swallowed. "It was." "No, Maddie. It was for you. And Blake. And your whole damn family." Silence. Then a slow exhale from her nose. She didn't deny it. "I hired a PI," I said, lifting the folder. "Got everything right here. Photos. Receipts. Texts. Even a screenshot of your little Airbnb wishlist." Guess what was at the top? I tossed the folder onto the coffee table. It landed with a slap. She didn't look at it. She just stared at me like I was the problem. "Jesus, David," she muttered, crossing her arms. "You really went full stalker." I laughed. Short. Bitter. "That's your response? Not an apology? Not even a fake tear?" She rolled her eyes. "You're blowing this out of proportion." "Blowing what out of proportion, Madison?" That you used my money to wine and dine your lover while pretending you were building a career. I am building something, she snapped. Something that actually excites me. You think I wanted to come home every night to your boring routine? Chicken dinners and reruns of Law and Order. That one hit. Wow, I said, blinking. I didn't realize dinner and loyalty were such a burden. She stepped forward, voice cold. You were always so safe, David. Predictable. You never challenged me. Blake, he sees me. He sees you half-naked and flexible. That's not love. That's cardio with moaning. She slapped me. Hard. A sharp sting on my cheek. My jaw clenched, not from the pain, but from the disrespect. That was the moment I stopped mourning her. The woman I loved was gone, buried beneath ego, lust, and entitlement. You hit me now? I asked quietly. You provoked me. You betrayed me. We stood in silence for what felt like hours. The gap between us wasn't just physical. It was Chaz Mike. Unfixable. She broke it. Not with Blake. That was just the symptom. The rot had started long before him. I turned and walked toward the hallway. Where are you going? She demanded. To the guest room. So that's it? You're just going to sulk like a little boy. I looked back. No, Madison. I'm going to decide how to end this story. And believe me, you won't like the final chapter. She scoffed, flipping her hair. You always were dramatic. And with that, she walked into our bedroom, my bedroom, like she still owned something. But she didn't know. The lawyer already had the papers. The bank accounts were already split. The lake house was just the beginning. She didn't know it yet, but her entire world was about to come crashing down. The first night after the confrontation, I didn't sleep. I lay there in the dark guest room, staring at the ceiling, listening to the muffled sounds of Madison brushing her teeth, walking across the hallway barefoot, humming some stupid tune like nothing had changed. Like she hadn't just set fire to 6 years of marriage and danced in the flames with her lover. I felt nothing. Or maybe too much at once. Rage, confusion, shame. It all twisted together in my chest like barbed wire. I remember gripping the blanket so hard my knuckles turned white. I wanted to scream. I wanted to punch a wall. But mostly, I wanted to ask her why. Not the kind of why you yell during a fight. The real why. The one you whisper when everything you believed collapses. Why wasn't I enough? I kept replaying memories. Stupid, innocent ones. Her head on my chest during thunderstorms. That night we got wine drunk in the bathtub and made dumb plans for the future. The way she used to say, promise you'll never leave me, like she was terrified of losing something real. Turns out, she was only afraid of being bored. The next morning, I sat at the kitchen table alone, staring at her coffee mug, the one that said #BossBabe in gold letters. Fitting. She came downstairs wearing gym leggings and a crop top, scrolling on her phone, not even glancing at me. You're up early, she muttered. Didn't sleep, I said. She shrugged. Your problem? That was when I realized I didn't just lose a wife. I lost the version of her I built in my head. The kind, sweet, ambitious woman who believed in us? She'd been gone for a while. I just refused to admit it. I held on to a hologram because I couldn't face the truth that she'd rather chase validation than build a life with someone who actually gave a damn. Over the next few days, the numbness turned to poison. Everything started to trigger me. The scent of her shampoo in the bathroom. The sound of her laugh through the walls while she FaceTimed someone, probably him. The sight of her car in the driveway, knowing she used it to drive to Blake's place more times than I could count. One night, I found myself outside our bedroom door, hand hovering over the handle. I could hear her inside, laughing quietly. The kind of laugh you give someone when you're lying in bed next to them, skin against skin. I didn't open the door. Instead, I went back to the guest room and punched the mirror. Glass shattered. Blood pooled around my knuckles. It didn't even hurt. It felt deserved. The next morning, she noticed the bandage. What the hell happened to your hand? I didn't answer. Just stared at her while sipping coffee. She rolled her eyes. Whatever. Just don't bleed on the couch. No empathy. No concern. Just cold detachment. And yet, part of me still wanted to fix it. I hate admitting that. But I did. I wanted to scream, fight for me. Damn it. I wanted her to fall apart, to beg, to show me I still mattered. But she didn't. She just walked out the door like every other morning, flawless, heartless, empty. That was the moment I knew. She wasn't sorry. Not even close. And if she wasn't sorry, I didn't know her grace. I started writing down everything, receipts, screenshots, bank statements. I cataloged every betrayal like evidence for trial. My lawyer said it wasn't necessary, but I needed it for me. I needed to build a case, even if only to remind myself that this wasn't a bad dream. This was real. She did this. She chose this. And it hurt. God, it hurt. But pain has a purpose. It forces you to choose. You either let it rot you from the inside, or you use it like fuel. I was done rotting. There comes a moment when pain stops being just pain. It becomes a plan. That moment came for me the day I visited my lawyer, Andrew Kessler. A no-nonsense guy with a sharp jawline and sharper contracts. I walked into his office with a folder of evidence, sat down across from him, and said, "She betrayed me. I want to burn the bridge so completely they'll be scared to ever cross me again." He leaned back in his chair, flipping through the photos. Madison and Blake kissing at a rooftop bar. Madison signing the lease on the lake house. Her family sipping wine under string lights that I paid for. "You're not playing around," he muttered. "I'm done playing," I said. The legal process began immediately. Madison didn't know yet, but she was about to be evicted from every part of my life, finances, home, dignity. We started by freezing the joint accounts. I opened a new one under a separate LLC, ironically, the same one she used to funnel her business expenses. Then I filed for divorce, citing infidelity and misuse of marital assets. She'd get served in person, not at home. No, I had something better in mind. That Friday, I sent flowers to her office. Roses. The same ones I used to buy her. Attached to them? A neatly sealed envelope. Inside was a copy of the divorce petition, the receipts from the lake house, and a short note in my handwriting. "You lied. You used me. Now you lose me. Enjoy Blake's couch." She didn't respond that day, but her mother did. Ellen called me that evening, spitting fire like some queen dethroned. "You ungrateful bastard. After everything our family's done for you." I laughed mid-call. "Your family? You all lived off me. You drank my wine, slept in my house, let your daughter ruin my name. That ends now." Then I hung up. That same night, I called the property manager of the lake house and terminated the lease. Effective immediately. Sheriff's notice went out the next morning. They had 24 hours to vacate. No exceptions. Madison showed up at the house 2 days later, eyes puffy, wearing one of my hoodies, the same one she used to wear on lazy Sundays when she actually pretended to love me. "You could have talked to me," she said quietly, stepping through the front door. "I did," I replied. "You lied." She dropped the hoodie's hood and stared at me with glassy eyes. "I didn't mean for it to go this far." I tilted my head. "You didn't mean to lie? To steal? Or to humiliate me?" "It wasn't like that," she whispered. "Then tell me how it was." She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Because there was nothing. No excuse. No version that made her look like anything less than the cold, calculating woman she'd become. "You used me," I said. "Used my money to fund your fantasy with some glorified gym clown. And you dragged your family into it like I was the villain." "Blake loves me," she said suddenly. I laughed. "Then let him pay your rent." I walked past her, heading to the kitchen, done with the conversation. She followed, still trying to look hurt. "You're really just gonna throw it all away?" "No," I said calmly. "You did that. I'm just clearing the debris." She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just stood there, like a child who touched fire and finally realized it burns. I handed her a small box. Inside? Her things. The ring. The letters. The necklace she said she lost years ago but had just left in another man's car. "Goodbye, Madison." She hesitated for a second, then turned and left. I watched her walk away with nothing but a box of memories and the weight of her own choices. It felt clean. And in that moment, I didn't feel hate anymore. I felt peace. But I wasn't done yet. Because her family? They hadn't paid. Revenge wasn't enough. I needed something deeper. I needed consequences. Madison's betrayal was personal. But her family's involvement? That was war. They knew. They smiled in my face while sipping wine bought with my card, lounging under my roof, letting me serve them like the fool they all thought I was. And I was a fool for too long. Not anymore. The day after Madison left with her little box of regrets, I made my next move. I called the property manager for the lake house and confirmed the eviction was executed. The sheriff had already paid a visit. The locks were changed. Her mother, sister, and that sweaty trainer boy were given exactly 20 minutes to grab their things and get out. They weren't ready. Apparently, Kayla screamed. Ellen demanded to speak to whoever's in charge. Blake tried to flex his way out of it, claiming he knew people. None of it worked. Because I was the one in charge now. And they were nothing more than squatters playing pretend with my money. Later that day, Ellen called me again, this time from a motel. This is harassment. David, she said through gritted teeth. We'll see you for emotional distress. I couldn't help but laugh. Try it. The rental was in my name. The card was mine, and you were there as uninvited guests. The only thing you're getting is a bill for the missing wine glasses. She went silent. I imagined her pinching the bridge of her nose, furious that the cash cow had finally kicked back. Then she said something I'll never forget. We did what we had to. Maddie wasn't happy. You were suffocating her. That's when it all clicked. It wasn't just Madison. It was all of them. A tight little coven of enablers whispering in her ear, telling her she deserved more, that she should follow her feelings, that loyalty was optional when boredom kicked in. And maybe I was boring. Maybe I didn't plan spontaneous trips to Bali or lift weights with my shirt off. But I was constant, solid, real. I showed up. Every damn day. So I made sure they felt my absence. Madison's sister Kayla worked at a startup I partially funded 2 years ago. She got that job because I put in a word with the CEO, a college buddy of mine. I gave him a call. Listen, I said, what she does in her personal life is her business. But if I'm still publicly listed as a silent investor and she's publicly mocking me on social media, we've got a conflict. He didn't hesitate. Kayla was let go the next morning. Then there was Harold, Madison's father. He had been asking me for months to invest in his EcoBoat company, a ridiculous idea built on dreams and duct tape. I had drafted an agreement to seed $50,000. I shredded it. And Madison? I pulled the ultimate card. I called Blake. He answered on the second ring. Yo, who's this? David, I said. Maddie's husband. Well, soon to be ex. Silence. Then, okay. I just wanted to thank you. For what? For inheriting a walking storm. I give it 3 months before she drains your soul like she drained my bank account. He chuckled awkwardly. She's not like that with me. They never are in the beginning. Then I hung up. No yelling. No threats. Just truth. And truth always lingers longer than revenge. Days passed. Then a week. Madison texted me once. I miss who we used to be. I didn't respond. Because who we used to be was dead. And who I am now. Untouchable. They all thought I was weak. Passive. Predictable. But predictable doesn't mean powerless. And now, finally, they were the ones cleaning up the mess. It took time. Time in silence. Not the dramatic kind. No explosions, no tearful goodbyes, no voicemails at 3 a.m. Just silence. Real, deadweight silence. The kind that creeps into your bones and tells you the war is over, but the battlefield still exists inside your chest. The papers were finalized 2 weeks later. Madison didn't contest anything. She signed them with the same e she used to sign birthday cards for my mother. No notes. No apology. Just her name, looped like a ribbon on a bomb. It should have wrecked me, but it didn't. Somewhere between the betrayal and the fallout, I'd already started building the next version of myself quietly, brick by brick. I changed the locks, sold the mattress, donated her designer clothes to a women's shelter downtown, burned the fake love notes she left over the years, all those, "You're my everything" lies written in glittery pens. It felt ceremonial, like an exorcism. Then came the hard part, remembering who I was before her. I started small. I went back to the gym, not to become some shredded Instagram bro like Blake, but because I missed feeling strong. I joined a boxing class. I cut sugar. I stopped drinking wine and switched to bourbon. Neat. The silence at home stopped feeling heavy and started feeling clean. No more pretending. No more fake kisses, no more forced smiles across the dinner table. Just me. Real me. It wasn't all triumph. Some nights I still reached across the bed, forgetting she wasn't there. Some mornings I still brewed 2 cups of coffee. And yes, sometimes I'd see a blonde in traffic and my heart would stutter before my brain reminded me, she's gone. Let her stay gone. But each day, the pain lost its grip. And something wild started to happen. I began to laugh again. Loud, ugly, genuine laughs. The kind that sneak up on you while you're watching stupid videos at 2 a.m. or listening to a drunk friend rant about aliens. I went out more. I stopped declining invites. I started saying yes. One night at a rooftop bar, the same kind of place she used to sneak off to, I met someone. Her name was Rachel. Brown eyes. Quick wit. She didn't ask what I did for work. She asked what book changed my life. No pretense. No filters. Just curiosity. We talked for hours. When she asked about my last relationship, I didn't lie. I was married, I said. She cheated. I lost a lot. But I found myself again. She didn't flinch. She just nodded and said, then maybe it wasn't a loss. That line stuck with me. Because that's what acceptance feels like, not victory, not even peace. Just understanding. A quiet nod to the pain that shaped you. A soft thank you to the storm that didn't kill you. One evening, months later, I got a message from Ellen, Madison's mother. We never meant to hurt you. I hope you're doing okay. I didn't reply. Not because I was bitter, but because I didn't owe them anything. Not closure. Not kindness. And definitely not forgiveness wrapped in politeness. My revenge wasn't fire and fury. It was evolution. I rebuilt myself into someone she couldn't touch, someone her family couldn't manipulate. And that was more satisfying than any courtroom win or bank freeze. Because healing isn't about getting even. It's about getting ahead. I still carry scars. I'm not naive. I'll never be that wide-eyed man again, believing love protects you from betrayal. But I'm smarter now. Stronger. And no longer afraid of starting over. If you'd asked me a year ago what I feared most, I'd have said losing her. Now, losing myself. Because that's what happens when you love the wrong person too deeply. You start shrinking to fit inside their world. You compromise in inches until suddenly you're a stranger in your own life, holding the door open for someone who never planned to stay. Looking back, I can see every sign I ignored. The late nights, the fake business trips, the sudden urge to find herself. Hell, even the way she used to flinch when I'd say forever. But I didn't want to believe she could do what she did. I thought we were unbreakable. That love, real love, was some kind of fortress. Turns out, love without honesty is just a beautifully decorated prison. If there's one thing I learned, it's this. Pay attention to patterns, not apologies. Madison lied with a smile. She made betrayal look casual. Like it wasn't personal. Like I was just collateral damage in her quest for excitement. To any man reading this who's standing in the storm, who smells another man's cologne on her coat, who notices her laugh changing, who finds receipts that don't match her words, I'll say this. Trust your gut. And act fast. Don't wait for the explosion. Don't wait to catch her in bed with him. The minute your instincts flare, you've already caught enough. And here's the truth they don't tell you. You're not weak for staying. You're not stupid for loving. You're human. But if you stay after you know the truth, that's when you become your own enemy. I don't regret the years I spent with her. I regret the months I spent pretending she was still the woman I married. I regret the way I blamed myself in the beginning, wondering if I didn't touch her enough, laugh enough, desire her enough. The reality? She was always searching for an escape hatch. She just found it in the arms of someone who wasn't man enough to build a life, only destroy one. And Madison's punishment? It wasn't the divorce, or the lost money, or even the eviction from the lake house. Her punishment was watching me thrive without her. Knowing I rebuild a life she's no longer welcome in. Knowing the version of me that she once owned now belongs to someone who earns it. Because that's what healing is, not just getting over her. It's becoming someone she could never reach again. One night, I ran into Blake at a bar downtown. He looked smaller in person, hunched, twitchy. Alone. He didn't notice me at first, but when he did, he gave this awkward nod. Tried to play it cool. How's Madison? I asked. He hesitated, then said, We're not together anymore. I smiled. Didn't take long, huh? He looked down at his drink. She started acting weird, controlling, always accusing me of things I didn't do. I let out a small laugh. Yeah, that sounds familiar. Then I turned, and I walked away. No need to gloat. No need for revenge. She was the revenge. To the man I used to be, the quiet, faithful, blind one, I forgive you. You believed in her the way a boy believes the ocean won't pull him under. To the man I am now, you didn't just survive. You rose. And to the next man who finds himself sitting in that cold silence, staring at betrayal in the form of soft skin and sweet lies. Here's my advice. Burn the bridge. Build a fortress. And never, ever beg a woman to choose you. If she's real, she won't make you ask. The storm is behind me. And the sun? It's finally mine again.